El origen de Google. The history of the world's largest search engine began as a simple research project. In 1996, two doctoral students conceived an innovative way to rank web pages. They called their groundbreaking system Backrub. Its core strength was analyzing the quantity and quality of backlinks. At Larry Page and at Sergey Brin worked tirelessly, driven by their vision for better information retrieval. The system proved immediately superior to existing search engines of the time. As their algorithm matured, the need for a dedicated, separate space became apparent. They needed a place where they could work freely, outside the university environment. Enter at Susan Wojcicki, who offered a unique solution, her garage in Menlo Park. This humble garage would soon house the foundations of a global technology giant. They began setting up their first servers and essential workstations among the stored belongings. The garage symbolized the transition from pure academic project to a real business venture. As their algorithm matured, the name Backrub felt too limiting for their grand vision. They needed a name reflecting the scale of information they aimed to master. The answer came from a mathematical term, Google. A slight misspelling led to the iconic name, Google. This new name perfectly encapsulated their mission, organizing an immense amount of data. The shift marked a formal dedication to becoming the world's primary information index. To move forward, they needed significant capital to build out their infrastructure. In August 1998, they met with Sun Microsystems co-founder Andy Bechtolsheim. Bechtolsheim immediately recognized the power of the superior PageRank algorithm. He quickly wrote a check for their initial investment of $100,000. This crucial funding arrived just weeks before the official incorporation date. The financial backing ensured they could fully commit to the September 4th launch. September 4th, 1998, the official birth date of Google Incorporated. The operations were rooted deeply in the structure established by PageRank. From a borrowed garage, the mission to organize the world's information began in earnest. The initial user experience emphasized speed and relevance above all else. The concept of finding what you need, instantly, was revolutionary. What started with links became the gateway to global knowledge. Unlike competitors who counted sheer links, PageRank assessed link authority. A link from an important site was worth exponentially more than many unimportant ones. This iterative calculation ensured search results mirrored real-world authority structures. At Larry Page and at Sergey Brin understood that not all votes carried the same weight. This foundational insight was the secret sauce that allowed Google to rapidly dominate the search landscape. Running industrial-level computing from a residential garage created unique challenges. Overheating servers were a constant threat, managed with improvised cooling solutions. Power consumption often worried at Susan Wojcicki about the residential electrical system. Despite the hurdles, the excitement of creation kept the team focused. Every small success, like better processing speed, felt like a massive victory. That initial investment from Andy Bechtolsheim was more than money. It was validation. It allowed them to purchase necessary, professional-grade hardware for scaling. At Larry Page oversees the setup, ensuring the PageRank infrastructure can handle increased traffic. The capital meant they could stop relying on borrowed or aging equipment. This investment secured the immediate future, paving the way for official incorporation. The clock ticks down toward the deadline for official company registration. Finalizing the legal structure while managing live search traffic was a delicate balancing act. Susan Wojcicki ensured the residential setup remained functional, despite the commercial load. The team polished the homepage one last time, adhering to their core minimalist design. They knew this simple page was about to become the world's front door to information. On September 4th, 1998, Google was officially incorporated in California. The name change was complete. The mission was formalized. At Larry Page and at Sergey Brin, officially transitioned from students to technology entrepreneurs. The garage now served as their first, if unconventional, corporate headquarters. The world was officially given a new, powerful tool for navigating the exploding digital frontier. Most engines ranked based on keyword density, a system easily gamed. Google's PageRank measured democratic trust, much like academic citation. Imagine an election. Every link is a vote, but votes from influential people count more. Sergey Brin often emphasized the mathematical purity of this approach. This made it exponentially harder for low-quality sites to rank highly. The result for the user was immediate, tangible utility. This early commitment to quality set the enduring standard for web search excellence. Even with funding, operations were run with extreme frugality. Cables were routed across the floor, often secured by duct tape to prevent tripping hazards. Susan Wojcicki often provided meals, blurring the line between landlord and informal supporter. The necessity of keeping costs low meant every piece of hardware was maximized. Evenings often involved intense coding sessions punctuated by bursts of inspiration. They communicated complex technical ideas, using rapid-fire shorthand only they understood. This period cemented their working relationship under extreme pressure. The initial concept derived from Google the number 1 followed by 100 zeros. This mathematical concept was chosen to represent the infinite scope of the web. The crucial deviation happened during a brainstorming session in a Stanford coffee shop. A simple typo entered during domain name search accidentally registered Google. Larry Page initially worried the mistake was unprofessional, but Sergey Brin saw opportunity. The unique spelling ultimately won, creating one of the world's most recognizable brands. The server architecture relied heavily on affordable, off-the-shelf PC hardware. They famously used cheap Linux distributions to maximize computational power per dollar. Larry Page insisted on custom hardware interfaces for better data flow management. Data storage relied on massive arrays of inexpensive hard drives, networked together. The entire infrastructure needed to be fault-tolerant, as individual components often failed. This resourceful engineering approach laid the groundwork for future scalability strategies. Andy Bechtolsheim, already a successful tech veteran, saw potential others missed. His $100,000 was crucial seed money, validating their academic experiment as a viable business. He understood the power of superior indexing technology over simple web presence. This early faith was instrumental in allowing them to secure their official founding date. The transition required securing official business registration in California. And Sergey Brin handled much of the administrative overhead, alongside technical development. The commitment to the September 4th date signaled readiness to the world. They established the principle: technical excellence always precedes marketing efforts. The legal entity was now in place to support the technological marvel growing in the garage. Before Google, web searching felt like searching through a poorly organized digital library. The PageRank system introduced the concept of inherent digital authority. Larry Page argued that the structure of the web itself held the key to relevance. This methodology immediately produced cleaner, more trustworthy results for users. It shifted the paradigm from keyword stuffing to genuine content value. This early, uncompromising focus on quality built immense user loyalty. The garage was more than an office. It was a pressurized laboratory for world-changing ideas. Even simple tasks like fetching a soda required navigating a maze of cables and boxes. The commitment meant sacrificing comfort for the sake of speed and iteration. Susan Wojcicki provided essential moral support, often checking in on their progress. The lack of formal structure fostered rapid, unstructured innovation. This incubation period, fueled by necessity, forged the company's resilient DNA. The $100,000 injection immediately allowed for strategic hardware acquisition. They moved away from consumer-grade components to more reliable, though still cost-effective parts. A portion was dedicated to securing official legal and filing fees for incorporation. Sergey Brin ensured better power conditioning to protect the growing server farm. The money provided breathing room, reducing the immediate pressure to monetize prematurely. This investment secured the technological lead necessary for sustained growth post-launch. Susan Wojcicki, an early Google employee herself later on, made a pivotal early decision. Renting her Menlo Park garage provided the essential physical infrastructure for creation. She facilitated a crucial transition away from the constraints of the university campus. Her willingness to house 2 ambitious students speaks volumes about her belief in their concept. Without her space, the official September 4th incorporation would likely have been significantly delayed. The final hours leading up to September 4th were a blur of final checks. Sergey Brin monitored global server health, ensuring uptime stability. Larry Page focused on the user interface, ensuring simplicity remained paramount. They consciously delayed registration until the technology was undeniably superior. The anticipation felt immense, knowing the world was about to see their creation. The commitment to organizing the world's data officially started at midnight. The first live queries hit the servers, testing the limits of their garage setup. Users instantly noticed the speed and the relevance gap compared to competitors. Larry Page closely watched the query patterns to identify early usage trends. The system performed flawlessly, proving the PageRank architecture was robust. Word of mouth began spreading about the new, incredibly useful search tool. With incorporation, the operational structure solidified, though still minimal. Larry Page primarily focused on the algorithm's continuous refinement and vision. Sergey Brin managed infrastructure, ensuring the system scales reliably. Susan Wojcicki served as the crucial informal advisor and landlord. The focus remained singular: build the best search engine possible. They knew the garage was temporary, a necessary launching pad only. The vision extended far beyond simple search results. It aimed to organize all accessible knowledge. Sergey Brin often discussed the philosophical implications of easy access to information. The foundation set in 1998, relevance over volume, was the key differentiator that would last. The world was about to change, quietly, one search query at a time. By mid-1998, running the research infrastructure required steady, external funding. The decision to formally incorporate on September 4th depended on closing a seed round beforehand. Approaching established tech figures like Andy Bechtolsheim was a calculated risk. The pitch centered entirely on the PageRank proof of concept, not just a business plan. August 1998 became the pivotal month where the viability of Google was confirmed financially. This investment provided the immediate runway to legally form the corporation. The visual identity had to match the product: clean, functional, and unbiased. The color palette was chosen to be bright and friendly, yet professional. Larry Page preferred the simple, bold sans serif font that characterized the early interface. The resulting logo was simple enough to load instantly on slow 1998 connections. It was a design philosophy rooted in the idea that utility outweighs decoration. September 5th, the work continued, but now with the weight and structure of a legitimate corporation. The first official business task involved establishing vendor relationships for more hardware. They began planning the eventual move out of the residential property. The core team maintained the intense, startup-like atmosphere despite the new legal status. The quiet revolution had begun, operating beneath the radar of mainstream tech attention. Keyword stuffing led to noise. PageRank delivered signal. It mirrors how humans naturally trust established, cited sources in academia. Larry Page and Sergey Brin succeeded where others failed by trusting democracy of the web. This trust translated directly into faster, more accurate answers for every user. The algorithmic foundation, born at Stanford, proved its mettle on day one of Google. The garage at 232 Santa Margarita Avenue remains a monument to innovation. It housed the servers, the brainstorming, and the initial capital realization. Susan Wojcicki's simple act of hospitality allowed a giant to take root. From that small space, Google officially began its journey to organize the world's information on September 4th, 1998.